Wait a minute. Well, let's see. Does it work? Oh, wow. Take that, Rockefeller Plaza. CBS have gone all out this year. Not only do we have the Christmas tree, but look. You know, sometimes I think this mighty CBS corporation is run by a gentleman by the name of Ebenezer Scrooge.
Do tell.
Well, all I'm saying is, you know, when I came to work today, I was like, excuse me, Mr. CBS, do I have to work on Christmas? He's like, yes, you have to work on Christmas. And I was like, 3 ghosts will come to your house. And they said, they've already been. And I fired them. No, Christmas, of course, is the week before. It's the last week before Christmas. It's Christmas weekend. It's Saturday, isn't it? Saturday or Friday? Saturday. Saturday or Friday? Is anybody awake? Friday? Saturday? Was it that difficult? Well, Monday's the 20th, Tuesday the 24th. Yeah, it's Saturday. I hate when Christmas is on at the weekend, because then you don't get time off from this awesome job. I'm very excited because, you know, Christmas is getting closer. My sack is almost full. Oh, grow up. Anyway, the thing to remember is, though, that even although Christmas is coming, we're going to take a commercial break because you're probably going to want to know where to get boner pills.
Do tell.
The advertisers are going to tell them right now, Jeffrey. We'll be right back.
The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Ferguson.
You don't have to watch the warm-up comedian. It's over now. You've been warmed up. You are now fully ready for me. There's a lady going, is it all right? Can I stop with my phony enthusiasm now? Yes, it is. You smell that, Clarice? Christmas is coming. Yes, it is. It's a great day for America, everybody. Yes, it is. It is. Nice hat, Jeff. It's the Monday before Christmas. Monday the 20th in your region. That's what day it is. It's a great day for the United States Postal Service. Wait, no, why? You don't even know why. You're just doing it. You've been over-warmed up. It is. I'll tell you why it is. Because it's the busiest day of the year. The post office is so busy today, it's handled more packages than when Ricky Martin, George Michael, and Lance Bass were at a party at Elton John's house and the pizza was delivered by the TSA. That's how many packages have been handled today. I really like that hat on you, Jeff. You look good.
Yep.
Do you know how many pieces of mail were actually delivered today? Let me tell you, this is scientifically accurate. 53 gazillion. With all those packages around, the post office are bound to lose a few hundred. It's just going to happen. So keep that in mind, my friends and family, when you don't receive anything from me. It's not true. I send out a lot of gifts during the holidays. Every year, I end up putting so many stamps on packages that the impossible happens. I get tired of licking stuff.
Is that code?
Not really. Anyway, to keep up with all the mail at this time of year, the postal workers work really hard, so it's important to appreciate them. That's why I always greet my mailman with a warm smile and an open robe. Hey, Mr. Ferguson, got a package for you. As I do for you, sir. As I do for you. Every time I see my mailman, I like to sing a little song. You know, hey, Mr. Postman, look and see, is there a letter in the bag for me? I sing that, and then he acts like he hates my guts, but... People always say you should give your mailman a tip around the holidays, so every year I tell the mailman, wear shorter shorts. You've got the legs for it. I actually have great respect for postal workers. My dad here in the post office in Scotland, around our house at the holiday rush at the post office was called the pressure. It started in, that's what my dad used to call it. It started in early December, and my mother would be like, "Oh, and now it begins, the pressure." It's always scary when people describe something inescapable and horrific with a vague term. We do it here in America when we say the situation. But did you just awe the guy from Jersey Shore there? What the? I did the situation joke and you went, I wasn't like saying, let's be mean to hamsters. I said, the situation. I said, there's no awing for people in the Jersey Shore. The people in the Jersey Shore are legitimate targets for vulgar lounge entertainers like me. Exercising my right as an American comedian. Oh yeah, the pressure. During the pressure, my dad used to work 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week until Christmas. So he, when he wasn't working, he was sleeping so to get ready for the next shift. So either my father was not there, or there was this kind of evil presence in the house. We weren't allowed to make any noise. Don't make any noise. It's the pressure. I had to walk around the house on tippy toes, which I enjoyed. It was an excuse to wear ballet shoes. One day I will leave this country and go where I can exercise my freedoms. My dad was a supervisor, actually. He worked up quite high in the post office. So when I got older, I actually worked at the post office during this time of year, a short-term job, you know, because back then every job was kind of short-term for me. Not like this thing that just goes on and on and on. No, back then, you know, I told friends I was working in the post office to supplement all the money I was making in my band, you know, keeping it real. But anyway, one day I showed up late for work. I'd been drinking the night before, and I showed up late, and my dad said, I'm sending you to the airport. I'm like, whatever, dude. How bad can that be? But it was horrifying, because it was sub-zero temperatures, and I was unloading these heavy mail bags hungover next to DC-3 engines, and I was doing all that. To this day, whenever I receive a Christmas card, my junk gets cold. It's worth it. I learned an important lesson that day, though. I had to stop messing around with hard work and become a professional alcoholic. Do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. You know what I'm saying? So tell your mailman thanks. It's a busy day for him today. No, well, of course, nowadays a lot of people send the e-cards and stuff, so it's a busy day for the internet mailman as well. I don't know how the internet works. Yeah, like you know how it works? You don't know how it works. You nod like you don't know how it works. You know. Do you see him nodding? That's not how it works. Do your camera over there. You don't know how it works. All right. Give me a microphone. Give me a microphone. Damn it. Oh, by the way, we keep the desk over there because this studio is so small that we have to move the desk to make it look like we've got a big enough studio for a monologue. But we don't. And whenever there's a band here, we have to only hire tiny little people bands. Anyway, let's go over to our internet correspondent and find out how the internet works. Young lady, what's your name?
Gladys.
Gladys, how does the internet work?
You don't have time to tell.
He's as drunk as he looks. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the beginning of the Christmas Week Spectacular, where we've covered a shrub in a light. Time is it, Jeffrey Pearson?
To tweet or not to tweet?
To tweet.
Well, here's the thing with all the tweets. You and your friends stay in touch, but never meet. Now the time has come to check the tweets. And your email partner, Ash Mode.
All right, let's see what we got. There's an email from Sean in Woodlands in Texas. Sean says, Dear Craig, my teenage son has been growing his hair out for months and is starting to look like a girl. How do I tell him? He knows. He's trying to tell you something. I got your attention, didn't it? All right, this is from Julie in Carrboro, North Carolina. She says, Dear Craig, my boyfriend can't drive a stick. You know what? You know what?
Is that code?
It might be, yeah. My boyfriend can't drive a stick, / manual. I said a real man should know how, which offended him. Am I wrong? No, if you're a dude, you should know how to drive a stick.
In your pants?
Yeah. You said it, appliance, not me. All right, this is from Eric in Frankfort, Kentucky. He says, Dear Craig, since you never show the emails and Twitters on camera for very long, how do we know you aren't making them all up? You don't. All right, this is from Charles in Pearland, Texas. There's a lot from Texas tonight. Well, it's a big state, you're right. It's about the size of, what, Europe? Yeah. Charles in Pearland, Texas. Pearland, eh? I think that's a website I've been on. Charles says, Craig, have you ever used a coupon in your life? My wife was surprised that I haven't. What the hell is that? Coupon. I use them all the time. Drives the people behind me in the supermarket crazy. Because I'm like, oh, wait, I've got a coupon for this. I haven't seen coupons in a while. Do you still get coupons, or is it all email coupons now? I look forward to your letters. This is from Dale in Scottsdale, Arizona. Dale says, hey, Craig, do you find yourself always reading the employees must wash their hands sign in bathrooms? See, when I read the employees must wash their hands, I'm like, well, I don't work here. Job done. All right, let's see. This is from Vito. Oh. I bet no one's ever said that to him before. Oh, great. Thanks a lot. Sorry, this is from Vito in Orland Park in Illinois. Who says, hey, Craig, are you one of those guys who can sleep with your socks on at night? I mean, one of those guys that can... What? Actually, I have to take my socks off at night, apparently. I can pretty much do anything with my footwear intact. Anything that I'm interested in doing can be done wearing shoes. Yeah, pretty much. Just trying to think if there's anything I like to do that you can't wear shoes while you're doing it. Nope. Nope, I like to wear shoes. I like it when ladies wear shoes.
Do tell.
I like it when ladies wear shoes.
Yep.
Is that code?
Your move.
In your pants.
In your pants.
In your pants.
Shut the front door. In your pants.
You win this one, Peterson, but I'll win the next time. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. Look, at least you're at home. There, I've changed my mood. Look at that. My first guest tonight is a very beautiful and talented actress, a very good friend of the show, really lovely woman, smells delightful as well. Oh, yes. A little bit like lavender and vanilla. Aha, that sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Please welcome the lovely Kristen Davis, everybody. Kristen Davis. Sensational.
Thank you. I tried to do a little holiday for you.
Wow, it's fantastic. That's just the kind of vacation I need.
I'm glad. I think you look like Mad Men at the end of the day. You guys watch Mad Men? You know, like you're like a little scruffy Mad Men.
That's right.
It's
like
good.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
All right,
Absolutely.
good. Okay. Well, then I'm going for
Absolutely.
it. And I like your shoes.
Thank you so much.
You can keep them on.
I'll remember that, yes.
Let me ask you a question. Do you, no, I'm not going to ask you that. I was going to ask you about your shoes. Do you like to keep them on, you know, for...
You know, there have been times I have absolutely enjoyed keeping them on.
I think
yes.
it's a great
but
thing.
you know, I have to say with the men folk, not so often. I kind of
No,
want the
men
shoes
shouldn't.
off.
Men
yeah.
can't wear their
I
shoes.
was a little concerned about you earlier.
No, I was just for comedic
Might
effect.
need some, you know...
I take everything off.
Okay,
Yeah,
oh,
no,
thank
yeah,
God.
yeah.
Because, you know,
Yeah.
you don't want to hurt anyone or...
Or
you know
squash
what
a
I'm
bug.
saying? Hadn't thought of that. Hopefully there are no bugs involved.
You've never been to Europe, have you? And by
Yeah, they're
been
like-
to Europe, I think you know what I mean. Look,
No bugs.
No,
come on.
Hey, now, how have you been? What have you been up to? What's going on?
I've been good.
got a new show?
I'm developing a show.
Really?
We don't know what's going to happen. You know the crazy networks.
Yes, I do. Well, not
but-
this one, is it?
No.
Oh, thank goodness for that. What is it? What is it?
NBC.
NBC? Oh, they're all right.
They have
yeah.
a lot of real estate that's going to be open. Do you know what I'm saying?
No.
They're fourth.
Oh, they're fourth. Yeah, they're.
Yeah,
no,
I was trying to
always
be
like
nice.
it. Yeah, I like it when networks are in real trouble because then they're not arrogant. They're like, please give us a show.
Well, they try stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and I love their comedy shows. And then this would be a single camera, half-hour comedy. And it's based on a book called The Happiness Project, which is a great book.
Really?
It's a nonfiction book, so we're going to just, like, have fun with it.
What happens in it then? What's the Happiness Project? Is it kind of like, do people keep their shoes on?
No, I think there are actually some parts that if you would see, each person has their own happiness project. So it would be like, what does Craig want to do to be happier?
Out of here. Out of here. Out of here.
No.
Did that come out my mouth? I was just thinking it. I didn't know it came out.
That's not true at all.
Oh, my, I didn't know it came out. I was like, oh, out of the show, out of the show. No. No, I love it here. This is my best thing
love
ever
you
happened.
here. Yeah,
No,
we love you here.
Yeah.
No, but like, let's say that Craig wanted to dance naked in his shoes or whatever. If that would make him happy, then he should do more of that. It's about finding what makes you happy and doing more of it.
I'll do it.
Okay. You should come on the show.
Yeah, I'll do it.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'll do
That'd
it.
be really fun.
I'll do anything you like.
But I'm just developing it.
Will you keep the
so-
shoes on?
Yes.
Then I'm in.
For you.
Yeah.
But I've been developing that, which you never know what's going to happen. But then
Yeah.
I've had a lot of time off, which has been nice, and I've
That
been
is
traveling.
nice. Where'd you go?
I went to Ethiopia.
Wow, that's
Yeah. It was amazing.
Oh right, okay.
It was amazing.
No,
It
I've
was
never been to. I don't
amazing.
know. I've never been to Ethiopia. Is
Well,
it?
it's very different than at least how I thought it would be. I think because we've heard so many of the bad things that happen in Ethiopia, so you kind of don't think about any other
Didn't they
parts
have
of it.
2 civil wars going on or something?
Absolutely, and famine and different things over the years. But what's really cool is they're the only African nation who has never been invaded and colonized. They fought off the Italians, and I met these women in the mountains who actually were the fighters when they were like 20. I mean, very intense women, very
Right,
intense. Yeah.
Fighting off Italians? Why?
Yeah. Well, because they didn't want to be colonized.
But Italians come in, they go, okay, everybody, we make a food, everybody dress good, it's going to be great.
I don't know.
I'd be like, I don't know, man, come on in, Italians. Like, if Italians wanted to invade this studio, I'd be like, help yourself.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think it's a little different, you know.
Yeah, I'm probably being naive.
I think a little, but that's okay. I mean, I respect that they defended their country, you know, like on their own. Like the women got out and got guns and was like, get back.
Yeah.
So we went with Oxfam, which I work
Now,
with.
tell me about Oxfam. I remember Oxfam when I was growing
course.
up in Britain. It's
Right.
a very big charitable
Yes,
organisation
yes,
there.
yes.
And it's Oxfam, it's the same one?
Yes, there's different Oxfams in different countries, and I work with Oxfam America, but I also
Right.
go internationally with them.
What
And
does Oxfam mean?
Oxfam means, oh gosh, this is a test. Oxfam means
Family of oxes?
No. Famine relief, basically. Oxford famine relief.
Oxford famine
It
relief.
was, yeah, scrunched down. And it was started to say, you know, when there are wars, there are innocent people that are affected by wars or conflicts.
Right.
And sometimes starved by, say, sanctions or food can't get to them because of the war. And that's not fair to the innocent people. We're not
Right.
talking about terrorists or anything,
Right.
obviously.
So
But
don't feed the terrorists, is what you're saying.
we definitely don't want to feed the terrorists, but we don't want innocent people to suffer as
No,
well.
of course not.
That was how it was started in
Right.
1946. So when I go, I usually go to work with women's issues that have to do with women's rights and children, and usually teaching women self-sustaining skills, because there are a lot of countries where women are not really brought up to be having jobs, or there aren't jobs available for them.
Very, very positive thing to do with your time. Well done, you.
Thank you.
That's
Well,
fantastic.
I get so much more from. I feel like I am the one who benefits from it. I mean, every time I take a trip, I learn so much. I'm so changed
And
by
do
what I
you have an
see.
official capacity with Oxfam then?
I'm an ambassador.
Really?
Yes.
Do you get your own? Do you get a little outfit?
I wish. Actually, I am often dressed by the people that we visit, and it's
Yeah.
always an adventure.
Yeah.
I have a very special handbag they made for me out of goat skin. It smells very interesting.
Is it anything like my? I've got a little. What?
I don't want to touch that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that is, Craig. What is that?
You know what this is.
I don't-
You've seen one of these
I
before.
don't want to touch it. I don't
Come
want to touch
on
it.
now.
Don't make me touch it.
I'm not
Please
making you
don't
touch
make
it.
me
I
Okay,
wouldn't
good.
dream of that, making you touch it. It's a kangaroo scrotum.
Oh.
It was given to me by Carrie Fisher, who had been to Australia
That
recently.
makes sense.
And she picked one up for me. I said, "While you're in Australia, pick me up a kangaroo's
Really?
nutsack, would you?"
You ordered it special?
And then when she was here, because I thought it's a little intimidating, I drew a kind of happy face on it.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
And I thought, it's such a good idea, I ended up drawing a happy face on my own.
Excellent. We have a very vivid picture now with the smiley face and the shoes.
Well, that's right. There's a night out right there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Steady, ladies. Yeah, well, we're done here. That's it.
Are we?
Yeah, kind of.
It was fun.
Yeah, it always seems to go very quickly.
I know, Craig.
Yeah.
That's why you should, come on my show.
Is that code?
No, it means like it's fun to come visit you here, and then it goes really fast. So you should come over into my world, and then we'll keep you the whole day.
Well, where is your world? Is it in New York or L.A.?
I think it's going to be in New York, so I guess
It's hard for me to get to New York. They
Maybe
hardly...
I'll make the Craig episode in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Will you wear the shoes?
I will.
It's starting to sound a little bit phony now. A little bit. All right. Oh, Craig, what's that you're doing? That's a weird-looking smartphone. Oh, it's a book. It's written by one of the architects of what I have so carelessly trashed on television for the last 6 years. A legendary talk show host. He's got a new book out, talk show. It's confrontations, pointed commentary, off-screen secrets. None of that happens here. So listen, please welcome the legend that is Dick Cavett, everybody. Dick Cavett. Welcome, Dick. And this is one of the things you're allowed to do with your shoes on.
Yeah. There's been a lot of talk. Well, there's no business like shoe business. You had higher hopes for me, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought it was going to go better than that, Dick. I really did.
Do you mind if I put these on?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
It's
a
little chilly in here.
Yeah.
Now, that I did not hear.
All right. How are you, dear? You look lovely.
Yeah, and you look terrific,
Thank
for
you.
a guy who's... Are we both from Nebraska?
Yes, we are.
Because a lot of talk shows are.
We all come from Nebraska. What part of Nebraska are you from?
First Gibbon.
Yeah, me too.
And then Grand Island.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. When I left Gibbon, it was the beginning of Gibbon's decline and fall.
I didn't know. Gibbons developed. That's a big. Look. Hang on, Dick. Do you think anyone in that audience will get a reference to Gibbons' decline and fall?
Yeah, that man there.
That one guy there. Yeah. The one guy that thinks he invented the internet. I'll go.
The man with.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm sorry I did the moonwalk here. Did it register as the moonwalk?
No, the lighting's so bad, it just looked like you were...
It just looked like I was gliding, yeah.
How long did you have your talk show for?
Well, I started in 68 in the morning.
Right.
Then I moved to the night. And I did that on ABC until 75. And then I did PBS for about 5 or 6 years. And then I did HBO and a couple other things. And
see the daytime stuff in the morning, is that more fun? Because I'm sick of this.
I'll tell you, I didn't find anything fun about doing a talk show when I started. I thought, how did the gods do this to me? It's like being caught in a surf and knocked down by a wave, and Tuesday is the next wave, and you get to your knees.
It's kind of
and the
relentless.
next
Yeah,
one.
yeah. It's
Did-
almost like it goes on and on and on. I'm actually
wait.
finding- no.
There was a guy out here saying that earlier, wasn't there? I saw him on the monitor. Or was that a DVD of yours? Anyway, tell
Is
me,
that a Decline and Fall reference? Because I'm lost.
in semi-seriousness,
Yeah.
when you started,
Right.
did you have this happen? The audience sees two people on the screen talking.
Right.
One of them is just talking. The other one is the poor host.
Yeah.
And you're looking at the guest, and somebody signals over there, and somebody else letters a sign over there,
Yeah.
and then they take it away before you see it.
Yeah.
And someone does this, and you think, why didn't they tell me what this means?
Yeah, no, it's hard.
And then
It's
the next
difficult
thing
at
you
first.
see is that the guest's lips have stopped moving.
I think very quickly I didn't really care about that. I stopped paying any attention to anyone in the studio because I realized they were all, just as lost as I was. And
Yeah. Well, backstage, you said they're dirt under your feet.
that's did I?
No. Did you think you were capable of saying that?
Yeah, I might have said it
No one-
at one point, but they.
Yeah.
No, I'm not sure. What about when you get? Do you actually remember guests? Because sometimes I'll meet people and they go, "Hey, it's great to see you again." I'm like, "Hey."
Yeah. I know.
Look at you,
You
you
say,
know,
were we in high school together?
Yeah,
or
I mean,
something
people
like that?
who are famous people who I think have been on the show and haven't been on the show, like Rhea Perlman. I always think Rhea Perlman's
I know-
been on the show,
You
and
have
she's never been on the show.
such a thing for her. I hope you consummate it someday. You know what I mean?
What, you mean having Rhea Perlman on the show?
Yeah, having her on the show.
Yeah, as
Having her
opposed to having her
on the show.
on the show. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Hey, we should be a team.
Yeah, we should do it. Let's take it on the road. But it goes. There's so many of them now. I mean, so many people
I
that
know.
have slummed it through here.
I'll tell you a quick Johnny Carson story. I was on his show each time a Cabot show was canceled, so I was on quite a number of times. And he would always say, if this next one doesn't work, it's Armed Forces Radio for Richard. And one night during the break, he said, "Do you ever forget who you had on?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, there's so many. How can..." He said, "No, I mean," I sort of do his voice, "No, I mean that night."
Yeah, I do that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And you'll feel better then, as he did. He said, I went home and he must have an Irish doorman. He said, the doorman said, so who was on tonight, Mr. Carson? And I said, well, we had the usual four guests. We had not literally.
Yeah. That would be
he
a very
said-
special Tonight Show.
That would be called a big booking.
yeah.
And he said, I got upstairs before I could remember any of the people I had on. And I knew he was worried, seriously worried about his head. And then I could help him. I said, I came home one night after one of my one-person shows.
Right.
And somebody yelled out at a party over that, something, how'd the taping go? And I said, fine. They said, who was it? And I said, oh, my God, they sat right there. And it was kind of an obscure name.
Right.
Lucille Ball.
Wow. Everyone forgets that. Yeah.
Well, the last time I was in Scotland...
When's the last time you were in Scotland, Dick?
I've never been there. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't joke with you. No, because when you're a fan, you don't want to risk offending your host, who paid you $483 to sit here.
Of my personal staff.
I can tell you my Scotland adventure. I was in London. I was on the BBC, and then I went up to Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. That's in Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah, it's capital city.
Yeah, and on a wonderful train. Got into a cab. The cab driver was what they call a dour Scot, I suppose. He never spoke.
Yeah.
Drove a long way. I was there to see Laurence Olivier and Merchant of Venice because I was going to do a show with him.
Right.
So I went up, got in the cab went along, finally got to the theater, stopped, and just before I got out, he broke his silence and said, You're a covet, aren't you? And I said, yes. I saw you on the BBC. Yes? You're too good for a
Tootsie Fruits.
English.
Why, Richard, I didn't know you could cuss. That's true, you are. Dick Cavett, too good for English.
Oh, my God, do I have time to do I have time to show you something?
Sure, why not?
If I didn't put it in
Was it,
the
you all right now?
wrong pocket. I was doing this in Rocky Horror Show once. You and I have that in common.
Oh, yeah, you did the narrator, didn't you?
Yeah. And I had lived a lot, as you undoubtedly did. And I was trying to find a note, and I went like this. And a guy in the audience said, "Hey, Dick, you're playing with yourself." And I heard myself say, I got people who do that for me.
Yeah, nice. Wait. What do you got there?
This might be a nice
list of
little
stuff you want?
surprise for you, if I can get it right. Should be a question mark.
Can grouse frig.
Can grouse frig, yeah.
Can grouse
Do you
frig.
see anything in that? I have the anagram curse.
Can grouse frig.
Well, your mother probably never...
Ferguson. Is this a...
It's Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson. Oh, it's an anagram of my name.
Has everybody been doing can grouse frig?
Yeah, except Rhea Perlman.
It is funny, though, that you recognized your name in that mixed-up anagram. That's
I'm a
terrific.
self-obsessed narcissist.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Like, I'm trying to recognize my name here.
Yeah. You did magic.
No, I never did magic. No,
Okay.
no, that was...
You didn't do magic.
No.
No.
And we're out of time, Dick. I mean, you should know enough about TV to know that. You really put me in the spot here now. Like,
I'm just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
Isn't that right, folks?
Dick Cavett, everybody. We'll be right back.
What did we learn on the show tonight, Greg?
Tell you what I learned on the show tonight. That Edward Gibbon, no S, wrote The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. I think he began it in 1811, didn't he? We have wireless. You know what was interesting for me tonight was actually, in all seriousness, meeting Dick Cavett. I'm like, my God, Dick Cavett. I mean, wow. Dick Cavett sat there with John and Yoko. He sat there with presidents, and he talked to everybody. And there he is, still interested in people. I'm like, I've talked to about half a dozen people on a sitcom, and I'm bored off my ass. That's not true. That's not true at all. I said it for comedic effect. I'm hiding my feelings behind humor. My shrink says I do that. And by shrink, I mean... See, I did it again. All right, well, I think this has been a fantastic and tantalizing first show of the week before Christmas, which is on a Saturday. We have wireless. And that's about it, then. Yeah, so fancy an awkward pause before we go? Why not? I don't know if Jeff's doing an awkward pause or masturbating.
In your pants.
Good night, everybody.